Like this area is mostly brown and black. So I see a Wendy's, a Burger King, a Checkers. Checkers has 2 for $4 spicy chicken or crispy fish. Whole Foods, you don't see them here. But you'll see 2 fish sandwiches for $4.
Food for me is a demonstration of love. Like how we nourish our people, how we care for our people, the quality of that is how we demonstrate love. So when I walk into a store and I see some rotten meat and I see some rotten vegetables, how do I interpret your regard for me, right? Our people deserve better.
You try so hard, hoping that one day something gon' change.
I am super excited to be here talking to Liz Abunaw. Did I say the last name right?
Close enough, Abunaw.
Okay. Who is the founder of 40 Acres Fresh Market. So I'm so excited to talk to her. And I looked up some information just about Illinois and Chicago, about what is happening in the hunger space and the food access space. And I was kind of startled by some of the statistics. So 1 in 7 people in Cook County will experience food insecurity this year. Many food insecure households don't qualify for federal nutrition assistance programs, which I did not know. And this one also got me too. In the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Illinois Department of Human Services that handles SNAP benefits processed up to 35,000 applications a week, which was more than 3 times their usual average. So, this is a really big issue, and it's a lot of issues that are involved. It's complex. You can talk about hunger, but then you can just talk about food access, because you can have money to buy, but not necessarily places to go to get healthy produce.
I am actually an East Coast girl. I am from upstate New York, born and raised. I believe New York City is the happiest place on earth. I came to Chicago in August of 2012 to attend the Chicago Booth School of Business. I was getting my MBA. In 2016, I was running an errand that I knew would take me west. I get on the bus because I don't want to drive, because I don't want to deal with parking, and I get off the 66 bus at Chicago and Laramie. And I look around and I'm like, this does not look like the area near O'Hare. What the hell is this? Because I get off the bus and I see vacant lots. I see boarded up buildings, vacant retail, liquor store, corner stores, barbershops, McDonald's, fried chicken. And it's at that moment that I'm like, okay, I need to get cash. I need to go find an ATM and get cash. And I'm like, I can't find a bank. Where the hell is the bank? And because I'm cheap and I don't do currency exchange ATMs and I don't do corner store ATMs with exorbitant fees, I was trying to do the next best thing, which is go to the drugstore and buy one thing, like a pack of gum or a piece of candy, and then get cash back. Well, crap, there's no Walgreens, there's no CVS. Like, okay, I'm on a commercial corridor, but where's like the commerce? Where's the basic commerce? And then I was like, okay, crap, I don't want to be in line behind somebody with a huge cart, but I'll just go to the grocery store. And there was no grocery store either. And so it just kind of dawns on me, like, where am I? What is this? And why aren't these basic things that I assume would be on any major commercial corridor not here? And then you look around the neighborhood and you're like, you're black, you're black, you're black, you're black, 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 blackity black. And I'm like, I'm in a black neighborhood. I don't know where this came from, and I need to find that person so that they can take on all this responsibility, because I don't know. I mean, I always say I didn't choose Austin. Austin kind of chose me. It was just a happenstance.
You should be able to walk out of your house and readily access
good food. Like that should just be a given. And for me, that always has been a given. I have never wondered where my next meal was going to come from. It never occurred to me that there should be an issue finding this stuff until I had an issue myself. I happened to be on a bus running an errand for something completely unrelated and having my eyes opened to structural inequality in Chicago. I think for a lot of people, we can just take for granted because if we have the access and we're good, we just assume that it's maybe. It was one of those things where I'm like, I don't like what I saw. I'm starting to get ideas about, oh my gosh, there's a gap in the market. There's a need for this. Somebody should fulfill it. And eventually, I'm kind of one of those people, like, if you want something done right, you might as well just do it yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's how it started. Yeah, so 40 Acres Fresh Market we're a grocery business. I want to say we're a grocery business. We are not a nonprofit. We are not a profit organization. We are a grocery business. And so right now, we operate as a mobile produce vendor. I started off with pop-up markets, which meant that I went into existing community spaces, transform them into a produce market for a limited time, whether that be an afternoon or maybe a weekend, and opened it up to let the people in the neighborhood come and shop with us. It allowed us to build a customer base. It allowed us to develop supplier relationships and basically learn the business in a very low overhead, low commitment way. And so from there, we have grown our pop-up markets. We've entered into delivery, and every year, I'm always like, in 2020, in 2021, in 2022, now it's 2022, we're looking at hopefully opening our first store. In the absence of farmers markets, produce stands, grocery stores, we get corner stores that don't sell anything fresh. And it's all chips and pop and high sodium canned goods, microwave meals. You get the dollar store where it's more of the same. You get fast food. And once again, yeah, that's cheap, but it costs us dearly. The cost that we're paying for all of the diabetes medication, the high blood pressure medication, the people you have people who are 40 something years old and basically disabled because of their diet related illnesses. And the cost in terms of wealth building in our communities, if you can't work, the primary source of building wealth is your income. The ripple effects of all of this, I don't think we can even quantify the cost of not having the standard economy in our communities.
There's multiple problems with the term food desert. One of the problems is that typically people think of a desert as a very barren landscape, and the reality is that a desert is actually a very vibrant ecosystem. Another problem with the definitions used of food deserts is that it presupposes that the answer to these areas that lack access to healthy food is more grocery stores. A third problem with the term food deserts is it's not a term that people living in those areas use to describe their own situation.
However, food apartheid is a much more accurate representation of the structural, racialized inequalities perpetuated through our system. Hypersaturation of destructive foods and predatory marketing, and a blatantly discriminatory corporate controlled food system that results in our communities suffering from some of the highest rates of heart disease and diabetes of all time.
It describes the inequality. It describes the fact that there are structural forces that are creating what we see. That this is not just a matter of happenstance, that this is by design, and that this is unequal. And unfortunately, it is often very, very race-based. Now, that does not mean that food access only affects Black and Brown communities. In cities like Chicago, it tends to be the case, but there's also huge issues around food access in rural communities too. Trying to get rural grocery stores is equally as difficult, as they struggle with the same food illnesses and health impacts that you see in many urban communities. I just feel like every time you talk about investment in our communities, it's always something charitable. It's always a nonprofit, always. And I'm just like, screw that. Like, we deserve small businesses. Why can't we have small business? Why can't a business start in Austin and grow from there and take over the city and eventually the Midwest and eventually the nation? Why can't a Kroger come from Austin? Like, why can't we have commerce? Like, I feel like nonprofits have their place and have their lane, and they're super important because they fill in where there's a failure in the market or in what government is supposed to do, but they're not the answer to everything. Yeah. And I feel like they're the only answer we're ever really offered. I'm not from here. I have no connections in this community. And I'm coming in here like, y'all said you want grocery, I'm bringing grocery. Like, what's up?
Where y'all at?
Where y'all at? Like, what else is needed? Like, what else do y'all want? And one, I learned that, like, you know, just getting the word out, marketing is expensive. You know, even if you're doing flyers, you gotta make them, gotta print them. But then also, I needed more community buy-in. And one, that just takes time and consistency. And two, it would probably be helpful for me to not go at this alone. So that's when I started trying to bring on partners like Austin Coming Together, Westside Health Authority.
Right.
And it took time, but it also took me slowing down and realizing that, like, this wasn't the entrepreneurship of Waverly Deutsch's building the new venture class. We are trying different models, everything from urban farms like the PCC Austin Farm, the Garfield Park, the Garden Network. So you have people growing. You have people growing right at their homes. So some of it is, I want to have control over my food source, so I'm going to grow it myself. Some of it is, you know, programs like the City Market, where the city is funding farmers markets in areas like Pullman. I think there's one in Roseland, Bronzeville, Austin, Garfield Park, West Humboldt. Is anything like wildly successful yet? I would say no, but I think when you have decades of divestment, you're not going to turn that around in a year or two or three or four or five. It's the continued investment in these types of things and giving them time to gain a foothold again, where we're really going to see, you know, what works sustainably. And is it all commercial? Is it all philanthropic? Is it some combination of both? I think it's going to be some combination of both. I want Austin to be a model for other neighborhoods. That if we can figure it out in Austin, and Austin has a lot going for it, but it also has a lot of challenges. So I feel like if you can make Austin work and you can create an ecosystem that's teeming with everything from grocery stores to gardens to restaurants of, you know, sit-down restaurants, healthy grab-and-go restaurants. Look, you can keep Popeyes. I love me a Popeyes chicken sandwich, but that shouldn't be our only option.
Yes.
And so what I want to see is those other healthier options coming in around all of the unhealthy stuff too, so that there's a balance. Like, we need balance in our community. So when I see that Austin has a farmer's market that pops off like Oak Park's or Logan Square's farmer's market, when it's not just 40 Acres Fresh Market, but it's 40 Acres Fresh Market, it's the Austin Community Food Co-op, when I see like places where you can grab like healthier quick service restaurants, when I start seeing that all over Austin as the norm, then I'll be like, bet we did this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can say, here's how we did this, here's where we started, here's how we built this foundation, and here's how we grew on top of it. Take that as a blueprint, take that to Lawndale, take that to South Shore, take that to any other way. Yeah, you can scale it elsewhere. I am a badass because I do what other people won't.
You tried so hard. Yeah. You tried so hard. You tried so hard. Yeah. You tried so hard. Give it. Can't run away, man.